Joining us now is Ambassador Kurt Volker, who served as the U.S. Special Representative for Ukraine negotiations from 2017 to 2019. He also was the U.S. Ambassador to NATO. Thank you so much for lending us your valuable expertise tonight. You heard President Biden today announce major new sanctions with the possibility for more. Are sanctions enough here? Do you think that NATO and the U.S. need to be prepared for military engagement on a scale that Europe hasn't seen in decades?
Well, first off, I think the sanctions are long overdue. It is time now to impose those devastating sanctions that the administration has promised because Russia has invaded Ukraine, just as we said might be possible. When it comes to military support, the first thing is to do everything we can to support the Ukrainian military so they can defend themselves. Trainers, equipment, accelerated deliveries of humanitarian assistance, a lend-lease policy so that we are financing it in advance so that they can have the equipment now, everything we can do. Then we have to think a little bit longer term, as you're suggesting. Russia is now an aggressor in Europe. It's an authoritarian state. It is attacking sovereign countries. It is claiming their territory. It is happening in Ukraine today. But what will happen tomorrow? What other countries might also be subject to Russian aggression? We need to think about that, and we need to start planning to be pushing back on Russia directly.
Right. It does seem like this could just be the beginning. Back in 2019, the State Department eliminated your post as special envoy to Ukraine. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20 here. But would we be here today if the U.S. had someone doing the job that you did over the past several years?
Well, that's an impossible question to answer. I think having somebody who is dedicated to the Ukraine conflict and trying to engage with Russia, engage with our allies, engage with Ukraine, and keep a focus on this is critical. It doesn't have to be a separate individual. It could be someone who has another job in the administration. In my case, it was separate, but in my predecessor's case, she was Assistant Secretary for European Affairs. But in any event, we need the focus. We need someone who treats this as a priority above all else. And right now, I think we suffered a little bit from the lack of that.
And you've written how Vladimir Putin has made his intentions very clear as far back as a speech 15 years ago in Munich. And we should not be surprised or confused about what's happening now. You say that it's time for the West to face the facts, that they can't work with Putin. So if no one, in fact, can work with Putin, are there any diplomatic off-ramps left?
I think off-ramps is the wrong phrase to use because what that's implying is a desire for de-escalation. We have that desire, but Putin doesn't. Putin wants to win. He wants to achieve his goals. He's willing to escalate. What we need to do is put in place counter pressure so that Putin feels that what he is trying to do will be too costly, that things will happen to the disadvantage of his interests, which would then cause him not to do it. I was there in Munich 15 years ago for that speech. I remember it very well. He was declaring his rejection of European security order as we knew it. And now we're seeing the results of that. He started in Georgia in 2008, Ukraine 2014. Now again in 2022, he's attacking Ukraine again. We need to have a serious long-term strategy for countering, pushing back, and ultimately overcoming this kind of aggressive Russia.
And so you believe that there are sanctions, in fact, that could stop Putin in his tracks at this point?
I'm not sure that sanctions would do that. I think Putin's decision-making is based on his sense of his place in history. He is rebuilding a Russian empire, and he faults previous Russian leaders for failing to deliver for Russia, for failing to stand there. They sacrificed territory under the Bolsheviks. The Soviet Union collapsed. Putin sees himself as making up for that. So I don't think we're going to affect his decision-making today. But what we will do is affect the real world in which Russia and Putin's regime lives. What their opportunities are, what their economic resources are, what their possibilities are. We have to start closing off options for Russia so that they can't continue to do what they've been doing.
Ambassador Volker, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.